the odd something hours. The sweat on my back's got my shirt soaked and sour. And oh, it's already gone. Second night's coming and I'm spinning back around. We're all caught up, can't hear or feel the sound. And oh, it's already gone. And here comes the feeling when you don't got nothing and all you want to do is get up and start running. You can't hide long cause you know it's gonna start up again. Here's one thing that I know for certain, this life's too short to be worrying about you hurting for long. Oh, it's already gone. Got time but money's not something that's free. Seems the roll of the dice never rolls back to me. And oh, it's already gone. A bird in my hand, two cans in the other, start spinning around. Now here comes another, and oh, it's already gone. And here comes the feeling when you don't got nothing and all you want to do is get up and start running. You can't hide long cause you know it's gonna start up again. Here's one thing that I know for certain, this life's too short to be worried about you hurting for long. Oh, it's already gone. And all you want to do is get up and start running. You can't hide long cause you know it's gonna start up again. Here's one thing that I know for certain, this life's too short to be worried about you hurting for long. Whoa, it's already gone. Already gone. It's already gone.
What's up, Jags fans? Here we are on a Valentine's Day. We got the cat in the background. A little surprised that the show is starting tonight because we got a right at the clock. We got the start going tonight. I'm so excited tonight. We're going to be joined by a special guest here soon. And I just can't tell you how excited I am for our special guest to be here. This is a fan show. This is your first time here. Welcome. We talk about Jags. We do live shows. All these shows are live, so not pre-recorded, not edited or cut up. This is off the cuff, baby. And so we like to get all of the fans involved. We like to get all the comments involved. So make sure to get in the comments via Twitter or via YouTube comments, and we'll try to get them all. A lot of interviews happening right now with the Jags. I mean, obviously the Ian Cunningham interview is the latest that has the most noise coming from the Bears, but before that with the Eagles, and so before that with the Ravens, has some pedigree for sure when it comes to who he's worked with and who he's been around. But in addition to all of the GM news, which there is a lot of people that they're looking at interviewing, they also have made some changes to the Jaguars staff, hiring Frederick Walker as an offensive assistant, who came from the LA Raiders, but he has UMass ties. And we know that Liam Cohen likes those UMass ties. That's for sure. They hired Trevor Mendelson as an offensive assistant / offensive line coach. He basically spent 2 seasons with Notre Dame and kind of been around the block here. They completed an interview with Champ Kelly for GM. I mean, they're just giving us all the information. Chad Alexander, if these names mean nothing to you, don't feel left out, because we will probably have a professional here soon explaining what all of these are and what all of these mean. I'm sure we can touch on, how can I forget John Robinson, the Titans former GM, coming here. We'll touch on the Steelers supposedly offering some draft picks for Trevor Lawrence, which was kind of wild and kind of came out of nowhere. But this is a fan show. So when you guys get into the comments, tell me what you think of all those things, who you guys want as the general manager, if you have any feelings, if the general manager is even going to have any power with this coach-centered team that we have. And I'm sure that some of you will want to touch on the draft, and we'll want to touch on who we'd want to pick. And admittedly, I have not done a ton of research on people past the first round, and that's just because I haven't quite had time. I will say, though, I do have some time off coming up. Today was basically my last day of my busy season at work, so we are celebrating tonight. So if the stream gets a little wonky toward the end, just know that I am celebrating. I hope everyone's having a great Valentine's Day. I love that we almost have 100 people in here on Valentine's Day. Maybe you losers should get a girlfriend. I'm just kidding. I'm right here with you. I'm right here with you. We're all losers, or we did Valentine's Day earlier in the day. Nothing wrong with that. Let's get into some of his comments here. Kyle says, yo, what's up, Kyle? Cam Boysvert, first channel member, says, let's go. Nolly Full Cab spams the Blake Bortles emojis. And Nolly Full Cab reminds me of something. So here at the Jags United, and we're going to get into Jags stuff, I promise. Here at Jags United, the name says it all. We are United Jags fans. We don't agree on everything, but we want to see everyone do well and come up. This channel is powered by Racha Sriacha, the best sriracha sauce, the best hot sauce out there. Okay. And again, I say this every time, so you guys believe me. This is not a paid sponsorship. Okay. This is good stuff. If you, in the video description, you will see a link to the website. You're going to want to get you some hot sauce, and it helps fellow Jags fan. And it's good stuff. The entrepreneurs here in the show, I do say this often, but if you have a business or you have something that you want me to promote, you don't have to pay me. You just have to have a good product, and you have to be a Jags fan. That's all it takes. And I would be happy to see you and your business do well. So just let me know, DM me. I'd be more than happy to do it, to be honest. So appreciate you, Nolly. Go get you some Racha Sriacha. Rather than super chat, rather than channel member, which I do appreciate, I'd rather you take that money and support a fellow Jags fan, because that's what we like to do around here. Guy says, let's get the show going. I like that. Preston Timms finally made it here at the start of your show. What's up, bro? You good? Yeah, I'm good. Like I said, I run a whole athletic conference, and we're in our basketball tournament right now. So I came home from the semifinals of that basketball tournament. So it was actually on the girls' side of the bracket. So there's a couple more days next week where we do our boys semifinals and our finals. It's awesome. I love doing it. I get to work in sports, and it's quite the business endeavor. Speaking of quite the business endeavor, if there's one person who knows how to get things going, knows how to get things started, not because of his entrepreneurial spirit, which he has, not because of his knack for success and discernment, which he has, but it's everything else that comes with it. My good friend, the best Jaguars content creator, writer, knowledge-based person. He's almost as good as me. Not quite. Let's bring into the show, Trent. How's it going, my friend? You doing all right?
Oh, you got me right. You got me right in the throat. Almost as good as me. Lord, that was good. I'm doing good, bro. How you doing?
Well, I had to have a backdoor slight at you. I couldn't
I
just.
appreciate that.
Yeah. That's how I show affection.
You got to take the edge off. You got to take the edge off of this. We cannot just be over here saying like stuff like "I love you" and all this other non-manly things. Like, what would that make us?
It is Valentine's Day, so I think maybe the love comment could be appropriate. How's everything going with you? Did you treat the missus to something nice today? And
we'll get into that later.
Okay. I won't say anything. Okay. All right. So, a bunch of stuff happening with the Jags, hiring people we've never heard of, interviewing people we've never heard of. If there's one person that's heard of them, it's Travis. So I want to get to a question that a commenter has that's directly at you. But before I get to that question about the GM and who you think it'll be, what are your thoughts on this complete overhaul of Jaguars coaching staff? What are your overall thoughts of it?
What are my thoughts on the overhaul of the coaching staff? I think it's amazing. Like, honestly, like, even though the process didn't go the way that the team wanted it to go, obviously, I mean, the fact that you lost out on one of the GM candidates, withdrew from the process. One of the, two of the offensive line coaches were blocked from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Rightfully so. They did promote from within. They did promote those guys. I get it. And you lost what many would consider your top head coaching hire option of, Ben Johnson. And yet you can still look at this process and be like, well, this was a good process. Like this was a good process, all things considered, when you kind of have to peel back everything. And the fact of the matter is they look like a competent organization that is able to rebound, that is able to counter these weird things when they happen. This has been a wonky coaching cycle, and you can still say this coaching staff is pretty solid, though.
So you would say it's pretty solid. And again, I'm asking because I don't know, but you, who's in deeper than me, you've written the articles. If you haven't seen them yet, check them out on Big Cat Country. Travis is pumping out the content on the Duval dive. All of his stuff is in the video description. He's the best in the business. He's more in the trenches. So you're saying this is a solid coaching staff?
I'm saying without hiring someone who has explicit experience, and how often does that kind of person come up? All these things are always going to be coin flips, and this team is going to go wherever the rudder that is Liam Cohen takes them, as far as that offense is concerned. Outside of that, you're going to hire a lot of younger people. It's going to be the Sean McVay kind of build. And that means a lot of younger guys, you're going to be learning on the fly. And if you can get some solid experience, and they've gotten 4 coaches with over 20 years experience added to this roster. Like, as far as the ageism part of the conversation and the quality of some of the guys that you're talking about who have the experience, is some guys who have some really good experience. Like, you're talking about a DB coach in Millis. Goodness gracious, what is his first name? It's an R word. Millis. It's a DB coach, 20 plus years experience. He's over 60 years old. He's coached like 4 all pro defensive backs. Like, it was Champ Bailey. It was goodness gracious, Champ Bailey. You're gonna make me throw it off the top of my head. Now I don't know the whole list. It was let's name 9 people who are Pro Bowl type like defensive backs. He's coached them all. And I'm just like, oh, no. This is dope. I'm okay with this. As a DB, I'm already a little bit biased. But if you have a coach who kind of has that resume, I'm already that's one of my favorite hires before you even get to the Jacksonville native wide receiver coach.
So you're okay with them bringing on some of these guys with experience to kind of counterbalance maybe the lack thereof at the DC, OC, HC position?
I am. And then when you get into the additional part of the conversation where you say, all right, the Jaguars have historically been a little bit more lean as far as their front office. They've been a little bit more lean as far as their coaching staff. And now we have the fact that the Jaguars are still adding coaches. And they might still be adding coaches next week. I'm like, at this point, I said it on the Duval dives earlier, 10-minute little, I don't know what to call it, 2-minute warning, we'll call it. pop in.
We call those
Hey,
YouTube
man.
shorts. We call those YouTube
Yeah,
shorts.
I mean, then yeah, sure. That was 10 minutes. It wasn't exactly 1 or 2, but I got you. But I'm just like, I said it then. I'm like, yo, I don't give. It ain't my money. I'm not Shad Khan. I don't care if they have one coach for every player. Just win, as long as it works. So, yeah, keep hiring coaches. I hope they keep hiring coaches every day of this summer.
All right, all right. Well, let's get to some of these comments, and some of them may be directed at you, and some of them may be not. But we'll see. Jaggernaut says, "Happy Friday, Jags Nation. Happy Friday. I'm off Monday. Are you off Monday, Travis?
No.
You don't respect. You don't observe President's Day. Is that what you're telling me?
I don't observe any holidays. I don't care.
Okay. Preston Tim says, I've joked about Shaw just throwing a massive bag to Howie Roseman, but why no Howie Roseman disciple? I'm guessing Ian Cunningham's not a Howie Roseman disciple. Those tenures didn't overlap. I'm not sure.
I mean, he is.
Okay.
So, I mean, you could just go with Ian Cunningham, or who? What is it? Is it Brandon Brown, the New York Giants AGM? He's also a disciple. And again, this is just at the top of my head. I'm trying to remember who all. Like, there's a few guys in this bunch that have spent time in Philly. So I don't know that it might be Howie Roseman disciple. We just don't know yet.
Jay Baby says, who will be the GM? We'll get to that in a second. Richmond Marooter says, hey, I caught a live stream. Now, this was we'll call it a last minute live stream. We'll call it that. But that's okay. Jaggernaut says, yes, it's T-Rav. Did anyone call you T-Rav growing up, Travis?
No, that's a white people thing.
That's a white people. What did people call you growing up?
You don't want to know. I got so many nicknames.
Can you say it live?
I got so many nicknames. No, for real. Like, because I was a real nerd growing up, bro. So they called me professor at one point when I was playing Pop Warner football. Because I loved football. Football didn't love me. Let me say it that way.
Okay.
So like, I love football, but I was a nerd, bro. I was a small nerd who, up until my senior year of high school, wrestled the 103 weight class in wrestling. I used to wrestle girls. Like, it was that. I didn't put on weight until college. Like, they just had me at UCF as punt return, trying to, be a walk-on, trying to earn my scholarship. And then I put on weight and then moved to cornerback and then was able to earn a scholarship. But I was a little kid, just get these little, just a little nerd, just able to put the game together in my head. My body wasn't agreeing with it, if that makes sense.
You said nerd. What was your GPA when you graduated high school?
I graduated from, that's not true. I got kicked out of Stanton. I got kicked out of Stanton with a 4.3.
A 4.3?
Yeah, but I graduated from Raines with a 3.7.
So you did better at Stanton than you did Raines.
I had problems. I had other issues in life. Just other things to juggle. We've talked about that off there, so don't start that. No, I had other issues that we had to kind of figure out with some, anger and problems and fights and things of that nature. But then after balancing sports, I played every single sport. I mean, you kind of figure that out while working a full-time job, while doing all that, and I found a way to balance it all. So yes, my grades took a hit, but I was still over, most of these common folk out there.
I got nothing but credit for you. My GPA never even sniffed a 4. So yeah, my GPA wouldn't know what a 4 looked like. I
graduated with an accounting degree and I never studied. But I played football. Then people talked about football players and dumb. And I'm like, dude, y'all don't know half these players are smart as hell. Y'all just don't know. Like, half of them are jocks, yes, but some are super smart.
Volkfang channel member says, "What's up, everyone? Happy Friday." I'm noticing not a lot of Valentine's Day stuff in here. Man, that's a little. So we got some sad boys in the chat. That's okay. That's okay.
Well, if they're listening to us, then they're obviously not out celebrating Valentine's Day. So maybe. And the reason I said let's on the whole Valentine's Day conversation, because
you forgot.
Well, I historically don't celebrate Valentine's Day. I set this line in the sand when we were dating, so she understood this up front. If we get married, you're marrying into someone who does not celebrate Valentine's Day. If you're okay with that, I'm okay with that. If you're not okay with that, we can end this now. She signed up for this, so she's well aware. That's why I was like, don't talk about this right now with my wife in the room. We're going to talk about this right now.
Okay. Well, Steve Breacher says, can we get a Valentine's Day life lesson? And I'm going to get a different life lesson from you. Don't go into it yet, because at the end of the show, I'm going to ask you a a life lesson from you that kind of has to do with Valentine's Day a little bit. But let me give you guys a life lesson. And I know people like whatever when I give relationship advice, and I get it, right? You know, historically have never been married or anything like that. But let me tell you a kicker. Okay. Are you ready for this, Travis? See, these are the little things I'm good for. You ready for this?
Okay.
Pick a day like in the fall or like end of summer and call it half Valentine's Day and make that day a day that you take her out and give her a gift, because what I've found is when you do that, they care more about that than they do Valentine's Day, because you're going out of your way to create a special occasion for them.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's not bad.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
But it's funny. It's so fun though. I've literally not had a year where I didn't get my wife something in like something cool, something good, something you almost might call it Valentine's Day. But I'm not doing it on this day. I might not even do it this week. Sometime this month, maybe. I'm just refusing to give money to the corporations that have been the demise of our economy, the demise of the way that we should be living. But for money, for something as simple as money, I don't like it.
I think you just like to protest. That's what I think. I
I
think
do
you'll
like
look
to protest.
I think you'll look for anything to stand up to the big administrative state. Anything you can do, even if it's Valentine's Day.
Sure, I'm cool with that. I am cool with that. I don't like the way that we treat people in this country as a general thing. I prefer small businesses to big businesses. I'm absolutely that guy. So sue me. I actually prefer the mom and pops, and I'll be the person that's out there trying to keep them in business. But I'm saying this to say I'm just not a fan of these corporate holidays that aren't they're supposed to be for love, but you know it's not. It's manufactured love. It's manufactured all like no. I love my wife every day out of the year. She gets whatever she wants, and we don't have no worries about all of that. And I don't need a holiday to tell me that. And if she feels like I don't love her already, I'm failing.
Well, that's kind of good. I need you to save some of this for the life lesson, okay? I need you to back it down because I'm going to give you the stage later. That kind of goes that way. Sea Breacher goes on to say, Jags United relationship advice got me blocked.
Oh, Lord. What did you tell him?
I was no telling, but it was probably good, and you probably didn't listen to what I said. Okay, so we got some more comments here. Topa says, what's up, Jason? What's up, Trav? Robbie Santos from Twitter says, guys, I'm at my V-Day dinner. Wish I could stay. Have to watch this on VOD. Much love for the both of you and Duval. I love it. I love it.
Robbie.
Have fun, Robbie. I know you're not seeing this, but you'll see it on VOD. Have fun. Spend some money. Another one from Twitter. If y'all had to choose one, Ian Cunningham or James Gladstone, who would you pick?
I'll let you go. And I'll let you go. I got mine already, but I'll let you go.
Travis, I started this whole show saying I'm bringing you on so that you can tell us what's going on with the GMs, because you do the deep dives. You've done the research. I'm not going to give any content here. I need you to carry this. Is it Ian Cunningham or James Gladstone? Which one would you rather have?
Well, if you had to choose one,
I'm choosing the fence here, Travis.
Ian Cunningham, bro. I am choosing Ian Cunningham 10 days out of 10. I like Gladstone, and I think he eventually might be a wonderful general manager. I still have questions on him in as far as contract negotiations and those relationships, because he's not had enough time in the game just to build a lot of those relationships. And I'm okay being the guy that's a little bit risk adverse as far as that's concerned. Ian Cunningham has had the time in the game, and I think he's still the candidate in this class. I think the job is his until it's not. I thoroughly believe that. And I also just happen to believe that he's also my favorite candidate out of the bunch, but it's not so different. I think James Gladstone has proven himself to be a quality talent evaluator. I just don't know about the whole contract part or the whole free agency part and the whole building the relationships to try to maneuver in the draft and maneuver trades and things of that nature. All of those pieces, I have questions. I don't have as many questions as far as Ian Cunningham is concerned.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, one thing is I don't know. I don't know like how much power these guys are going to get. And do you think a guy like Ian Cunningham is going to want to step into a situation where he has more power? And again, he may, But like I was kind of talking about earlier, it kind of seems like it's going to be a coach-centric collaborative effort between the Khans and Baselli and Waugh. Do you think that's deterring any of these guys from wanting to come here?
Well, that's my original concern. Was I don't know. You don't know these guys personally. You don't know what they've been dreaming their whole life of being a general manager, and then all of a sudden they get into a situation where it's, oh, I'm not the main guy in charge. There's not a coach answering to me. I'm just an equal to the coach, answering directly to a to an owner who doesn't know ball. Like that's probably not the dream. So I don't know if they're just looking for that prototypical situation, because currently a lot more of the teams that are hiring are kind of going to that new age model that the Detroit Lions have, that the Jacksonville Jaguars now have, that the Baltimore Ravens have, where everyone kind of just goes up to in their group. They're all in lockstep. So maybe that thing that you're looking for doesn't exist. So because of all those pieces, I kind of think that Ian Cunningham will still be interested in the Jaguars, but that's not to say it's a slam dunk. Like again, he is still absolutely interviewing the Jaguars, just like the Jaguars are interviewing him.
That's well said. It's almost like you're a professional or something. Okay, didn't know Cunningham was. Okay, never mind. Jaggernaut says apologies, Travis. We're always apologizing to Travis. That's what I'm always doing that. Watching from Spain. Oh,
Lord.
Maybe you can answer this question in Spanish, Travis, to help him out. I just want them to focus on strengthening the trenches. Please, focus the lines.
I don't know how you say offensive line in Spanish. Yeah. No, I'm with you though. The trenches. We got to get the D line right. We got to get the O line right. And I've been arguing with a lot of people about this, because this is, whether it's the group chat, whether it's my dudes that we just talk on the phone and we're just trying to kick it, just talking about what's going on with the team. It's really annoying when everyone's having these conversations in the off season, because you just don't know what's going to happen in free agency. You don't know, like, so everybody's line in the sand on who they want in the first round, and I'm just like, we spent all off season last year arguing that we needed to have Powers Johnson, the center. I think where did he go to Buffalo Bills, to come to Jacksonville. And then we signed Mitch Morris in free agency, and nobody was talking about that. So we just wasted that 3 months just talking about the thing like we forget free agency exists. I say all that to say, yes, the Jacksonville Jaguars need to fix the offensive line. Yes, they need to fix the defensive line. I personally have the opinion that I hope that if they don't bring in a free agent defensive lineman, that they do draft someone like a Mason Graham in the first round. If they don't, we'll be fine probably on the defensive line. But I just saw a Super Bowl where a defensive front just destroyed a generational quarterback to the point where it didn't look like it didn't look like just it didn't look like average football. I want that. I want waves of violence. I want an insane defensive front where I can have even a below average secondary and it works out just fine. That's what I'm looking for. So I'm with you. If by any means necessary, resolve the fronts, resolve the trenches, and we'll figure the rest out later.
Yeah, I agree with that. Punchline says Four Loco and Jags United for the boys. You read a Four Loco, Travis?
Not in a long time, but yeah.
Last time I had one when I was in college, which for those of you that count, it was over 10 years ago, and they weren't made the same as they are now. I will say that.
Oh,
that's
like most things.
Yes, I believe some sort of government agency came in and mandated a change between the alcohol and caffeine mixture because it was destroying people. And as someone who was destroyed by that, listen, it's because of those times I can now give great life advice on what not to do. So glad I went through it, but glad I'm no longer there. Punchlines, I hope you're doing good. I hope you're enjoying your Four Loco. He says, who else saw Cohen and Trevor working today?
That was great. I enjoyed that so much. And I no, and not like I enjoyed it like I hope they get in trouble or whatever else. Like I legitimately just watching two dudes talk ball, two dudes playing, like two dudes acting like they just enjoy it outside of the locker room, outside of the house, just talking ball. That's not all NFL players. I need folks to understand that. Some of these guys it's just jobs. And then some of these guys just truly love it, and they'll talk about it. If they weren't playing football, they'd probably be coaching. They'd probably be, a youth team, whatever. They're just talking ball, trying to figure that out. That was dope to me. Like, I watched all 5 minutes of it until it was deleted. But it's good to see, but also hopefully, knock on wood, they don't get in trouble for it, because it's technically a gray area as far as when you can and can't have these conversations. But it's like, well, he's out there at an event. They were talking about fill in the blank because you're not really hearing them, you're just reading mouths, and you could argue they're talking about they were doing dance moves, whatever, man.
Yeah, I mean, what are they gonna get, a fine? They might lose a practice day, whatever.
Yeah,
don't care.
It doesn't matter.
Don't care. Preston Tim says, I was the same, Travis. I walked on at Arkansas State and I weighed 140 pounds as a freshman wide receiver.
The people I respect, man, walk-ons. I'm always going to respect. I'm always in the corner of walk-ons because you earned that thing, man. You figured it out.
That's right. Jay Baby says, tomorrow, bro, Valentine's football Friday tonight until next year.
If you got her to agree to that, congratulations, sir.
I love it. Volkfang, channel member, says, my Valentine's Day was taking my wife to her pregnancy appointment at 8 a.m., getting groceries, then going to 1 hour glucose test for her pregnancy and letting her nap for 2 hours.
So it sounds like she's pregnant, if I'm getting this right.
Travis, as someone who has children, is he doing the right thing?
Taking her to pregnancy appointments? No. You should not. She should Uber that. Like, what? Like, of course. I don't know if that ain't the right thing, they ain't the right thing, bro.
I'm just trying to get a baseline for your honesty, Travis. When you take
you trying to get this man killed.
When you take a polygraph test, they have to ask you questions that you can have to say yes to. I'm doing that so that later when I ask you questions, we know when you're lying. I'm setting you up. I'm setting you up.
Man, you trying to have vote thing killed out here in these streets, bro.
No, listen, I'm all for it. On this channel, we talk about how we put on a pedestal fathers more than anyone else. If you are taking care and raising of children, that is, I think, peak life achievement. So we always take a second to honor those that are actually doing their duty as fathers. It is not an easy job, and a lot of people don't do it. And so big shout out to you, Volkfang. Appreciate that. We'll never let anyone who's taking care of their kids slide by without giving a shout out, because that's admirable. Sea Breacher says, can you guys start a political channel already?
So I like not being canceled. I enjoy having jobs, and normally I have to assume these channels probably aren't going to pay very much when you start, but I would like not to have to pay for security at the same time. All right, full transparency though. I have talked to Jason about this. I don't know, 3 times in the past 2 weeks. So I put it on him.
When you see Havis Holmes talking politics, just don't report him as who's actually doing it. That's all we're gonna say. And
bro, I'm gonna be over here with a top hat on and a monocle and another voice. Yeah, we're gonna have to figure that out with like a black screen.
And when Travis finds out I can debate his opinion better than he can, he's gonna be very shook, and he's not gonna be able to know what to do. And he's gonna be caught with a cat got his tongue type situation. So
man, stop. I'm in 1 to 2 depositions every week for the past 3 years. I'm good on the fire.
I'm just getting you ready. Listen, it's coming, Sea Breacher. It's coming. All right. Don't you worry about that. We're about to have a big dead season of football, and I gotta keep the viewers somehow. Okay. I'm here for a little GM information. sorry, little big man. If you're new around here, we try to stay about the Jags, and we talked a little GM, but I am really backed up on. Whoa, I'm really backed up on comments. But
all right, let's get through them. Let's stop playing around.
All right.
Yeah.
We're gonna fly through it. Made alive, automatic like the video. Thank you, Arm Skip, channel member. Timmy Devil says Gladstone without a doubt, and keep Wall as assistant GM. Is I know Dilla tweeted this. Is Ethan Wall in on these interviews with the GM while he's also interviewing for GM?
I have to believe that is not happening, but it's the Jaguars. You don't know. You really don't know.
Can you imagine?
And these have all been virtual so far. So
can you imagine Ethan Wall? Nah, I don't like him. Nah, I don't like him. Nah, not a good fit. Nah, I know someone better.
Well, we've done this before. Dang it, who was it? It was one of the coaches. Goodness gracious, when they were in the interviews, and then we ended up hiring them as the interviewers. An interim head coach who got hired as the
Was
Jaguars.
it was
I'm
it
drawing a blank. Was
Doug
it Doug
Marone?
Marone? Doug
Doug Marone?
Marone.
Yeah.
There we go. Thank you. Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, yo, what are we doing? So that's right on brand.
I've been a part of a search committee for a job, and then they ended up hiring me for the job. But to be fair, I didn't want the job. They talked me into it with salary benefits and things like that. But I've been in that situation where I was interviewing people, and they were like, "We just want you to do it," and I was like, "All right, fine." So I maybe I get it. Maybe I get it.
It's also laziness, though. And I'm not saying you weren't a great candidate. I am saying the fact that they told you that they wanted you to do it because they started trusting you as being already in the room, and it just made it an easier decision. Does not make it mean it's the best decision. And I'm not saying you're not the best.
Are you
I'm just
saying I wasn't a good candidate? Is that what you're saying? It sounds like that's what
maybe.
you're saying.
It's possible. Was that a good job?
I ended up leaving a few years after. So
Funny.
imagine
You end
that.
up leaving.
Imagine that.
Exactly the point. Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. I'm not reading that one punchlines. Good points. Thank you. I love Les Snead's wife going to bat for Gladstone on Twitter.
She has been, man, and that's dope. A lot of people have come out of the woodwork to root for him, so he has a lot of people in his corner at least.
That is always a good sign, is it not? When you got people coming out of the woodwork like supporting you.
Sure, when it works.
It's a good sign.
It's still 50-50. It's going to work or it's not going to work, but
Yeah.
it shows that he might be a good person on the outside. But that doesn't mean that, like, Gus Bradley had a boatload of people come out of the woodwork for him, but it still didn't work out. Like,
that's true. That's a good point. Jags United plus Travis equals goated.
Appreciate it.
Just wait till we start talking politics. Gladstone and Cohen have history in LA. Gladstone kind of has that Moneyball analytics nerd vibe about him. Gladstone has a bit more connection with Cohen, I think. With Big Bo in the building, I'm not worried about any of these contracts going by the wayside or horrible trades and bad practices.
Interesting. I wish I could understand the context of why.
He's saying he trusts Big Bo now that Big Bo's here, that things are going to get run correctly.
Yeah, but Bo doesn't have experience. Like, he has experience with contracts as far as being an NFL player, but that's a wide-ranging topic. That's a wide-ranging understanding of that. Like, because my agent can be doing the contracts, I'm not saying good or bad. I don't know how well Tony Baselli understands contract structure and void years and all of these other things associated with building a contract, but 50-50. It just truly feels like a coin flip whether or not he would know how to handle that versus a general manager who actually has experience truly building out contracts and structuring them. That's not the same, in my personal opinion.
He is a no-nonsense guy, which I think people like.
Sure.
So, because we've kind of maybe had a culture here of losing, and it kind of feels like a no-nonsense guy that doesn't make all the decisions could be a good factor. I don't know. I mean, I get it. I get the sentiment for sure. Eli from Twitter says, I understand that there's more to being a GM than being a talent evaluator, but I want the best talent evaluator.
Also true. That's a fair way of looking at it. If you get the talent evaluations right, you're probably going to be fine, even if you screw up the money a little bit on the way.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm back. I'm just gonna cherry pick some of these comments. If I miss your comment, just type it again. I apologize. I'm like just still scrolling through these. I apologize here. I drank a bottle of Cisco and immediately blacked out decades ago. I don't know what Cisco is.
Neither do I.
I know it.
I thought you knew.
I know what Crisco is. That's not something that you drink.
I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know what people do in these streets.
That's a good point. What did you think of the coordinator press conference?
If I'm honest, I thought half of it was boring. And I thought, like, we talk to Heath Farwell every week, so that's not a new thing. It's like, it's dope to see him after, a little bit of time. But overall, that was, day in, day out. Grant Udisky, he didn't say much, honestly. The big takeaway for me was Anthony, the defensive coordinator. I enjoyed listening to him talking. That may be my bias showing. I don't care. Like at least he didn't drop the F bombs or anything like that. But when he started talking about Peanut punching the ball out, that clip, that 60 seconds, I was like fist pump. Like, yeah, that's what I want to see. I want to hear someone talking about getting the ball out, ripping the ball out, studying tape, looking for weak guys to circle on the whiteboard and talk about all week. Like that's your big. I almost want to curse, but that's the guy. That's your guy. That's your mark for this week, the week of the and that's who. Whenever he gets the ball, you're going to try to get the ball out. Those kind of conversations. Yeah, that's what I want to see because a lot of defensive coordinators at least, talk about we need to get turnovers and all these other things. But now he's talking about specific measurable ways to make that happen throughout the year. And hopefully they'll teach it.
Hopefully. As far as raising a kid, it's not a life achievement. It's a man's duty. I think we'd all agree with you there. But
but we all disagree on how to do that. And some people think it's raising a kid is just going to work and making the money, and that's enough.
You're right. And it is an achievement. I will die on that hill. It is an achievement because it's not easy. I have a cat that I struggle to take care of. So I can't imagine a kid. All right, we've gotten this question a bunch. Let's just go ahead and answer it. Travis, who do you like? Who do you want?
I feel like I already answered this one. I mean, I like Ian Cunningham. He is my number one guy, my favorite on the bunch.
Okay. So we talked about Cunningham versus Gladstone. You're saying Cunningham over everybody.
Oh no, this is funny because it's been Cunningham. As the people on Twitter said, there was a whole thread talking about Ian Cunningham, all M's, no N's. Just it makes me laugh every time I say it. I'm sorry. But Ian Cunningham has been my top guy since the middle of November. Like I've been putting out GM stuff. If you check Travis T. Holmes on Twitter, I've been putting out GM stuff since November, and I've been writing about it on Big Cat Country since late December. With the GM breakdowns, and I've told you all these guys' background, some of their successes. A few of them won't have like questions because it's hard to pinpoint who specifically drafted this individual player or who found this individual player when they were a scout. But so you normally only see their successes. I get it. But nevertheless, Ian Cunningham has been one of my top guys simply this whole process. And that hasn't swayed overall. Other guys have moved up in the rankings, though. And now, if you want to get on those guys,
who are some guys that have moved up for you?
Like, all right, so James Gladstone, for instance, I mentioned him as a guy. We're talking mid-December, having these conversations in the group chats and a few texts with a few guys I'm talking to, and they just kept saying, "How come nobody's talking about the Rams? How come some of the people in the Rams front office?" And I'm just like, "That's a fair point." Like, all right, cool. And then we started looking into it. I'm like, "Yeah, James Gladstone. I hope the Jaguars give him an invite." And I said it on Twitter then, and I'm just like, "Yeah, I think he deserves it. I like the way they built that team, especially after losing Aaron Donald. Cool." And now we're here. That's awesome. And he's moved up from being just a guy on the list, like, top 5, top 6 guys to, oh Lord, yeah, he's legitimately my top 2, if not my top, top 3 at least. Realistically, my top 2 guys right now. All right. John Eric Sullivan, who just got interviewed today, who we just received the report as of yesterday was Ian Rappaport that stated that the Jaguars had interest in interviewing him. All of a sudden, I'm looking into him because I hadn't looked too much into him. I just hadn't. We have a list of 11 guys.
And where's he from?
Green Bay. So he's the Packers. What is it? Packers vice president of player personnel. He's been there for 23 years. So he's been under the 2 general managers that they had, in that time, and he's worked his way up from being in football operations early on to being the director of scouting to he's the vice president of player personnel right now. He's also the scout who found Jordan Love, or the first one who put Jordan Love on their radar. He's been in the contract negotiations and player evaluations. That's if you like the way that Green Bay does it, when they try to generally not go into free agency and they focus on drafting and getting the right guys and building it the right way and having multiple hits at quarterback, and he's had his hand in all of that process. Hey man, that's a solid feather in your cap right there, bro. Like you at least have to have him in the room. So he's just because as soon as he came into this conversation, my top 5 just the whole table just flipped as far as who's going to probably be in this finalist room, in my personal opinion, at least. So those are some of my main guys, and then they added Terrence Gray from Buffalo. Uh, and I thought he was a solid, a solid option. Like he's the director of player personnel for the Bills. Uh, and outside of that, you have a lot of guys who I think is just arguing. You're just shuffling these guys. Like I think there's 4 or 5 guys I'd be happy with, or at least content with.
Okay. Oh, so we're in a good position, is what you're saying, with some good candidates.
I think I'd be happy. I know I gotta say it. Damn it, I gotta say it. All right, I'd be happy with nearly everyone, and I'm even starting to be able to sell myself on Ethan Wall, and that's going to piss people off, and I knew it. And I know it. I have the feeling, and I was talking on the socials earlier today saying it like, man, if he was never brought in to the Jacksonville Jaguars organization by Trent Baalke, how would folks look at Ethan Wall right now? He was on the 49ers when they started becoming the rocket ship, when they won 10 plus games, what was it, 3 out of 4 years. He was the freaking guy under the guy, if that makes sense. Like he's the guy under Lynch. Like what are we would have loved to have this guy in for an interview at least right now. And the only reason we're not is because his association with Trent Baalke. And Tony Baselli and Liam Cohen have a solid relationship with him and have already said he's in the finalist round without interviewing because of the work they've seen him do. Ooh, that's hard not to say he shouldn't be in the room. That's all. That's a hard one.
Sounds like he was on the search committee and they're going to get lazy and just offer him the job, is what it sounds like. Is that what it sounds like to you? Or
I ain't saying that.
A different situation? Different situation. Okay. Volkfang says, drafting is the most important factor for a GM. Being able to negotiate contracts and bring in free agents is important, but pales in comparison to bringing in talented rookies. I think that's fair. When you look at all the best teams in the league, they don't build their rosters through free agency. And you can do it and you can get some good players, but you don't get sustained success unless you draft. I mean, the Rams have had some good success, but they identify late round players to add to their team. So they add through free agency, but then they add late round draft picks that are equal to other teams' first, second, and third round picks. So that kind of goes with
the Rams and Philly. Yeah, they're both the same in that way.
And that kind of goes with bringing in rookies. Like you got to be able to bring in rookies that can contribute. Little Big Man says Cisco was banned. Okay.
That's why I don't know what it is.
Yeah, that's fair. Jonathan Burns says, I'm 40 minutes late, brokenhearted. Don't be brokenhearted on this Valentine's Day Friday. I'm sad you are 40 minutes late, but I am here with the best in the business, Travis Holmes. And if you have not yet followed all of his stuff, or I'll go a step further and say, if you don't frequently check his stuff, his videos, his articles, check the video description. All his stuff's in there. He's awesome. He's the best at what he does. So make sure to check it out. Antonio Tolentino says, I agree with you. I liked what I heard from Anthony, but I get with Grant, he isn't calling the plays.
That's it. This bad boy's going to go wherever Liam Cohen goes. Grant's just going to be drawing the plays and helping him stay on cycle and just teaching and talking and teaching. So it's not as exciting when you're not talking to the guy who's actually going to be in the headset, I guess.
He sounds like, to me, Udisky's like a quarterback developer and like a X's and O's savant. Or is that what you kind of get from him, with him being like JJ McCarthy's like guy and him being assigned by Kevin O'Connell to do the certain things? I feel like Liam Cohen's going to kind of have him doing those things as well. Being so young and inexperienced, he is kind of looked at as a savant, and everyone that talks about him talks really highly of him. How much of an impact do you think Udisky will have with this offense?
I mean, I hope it's a lot, but that's going to really be the question: is how much is Liam Cohen going to want to lean on him? Because again, Liam's still going to be a head coach for the first time, and in being that head coach for the first time while still wanting to call the plays, he's not necessarily. It's not going to be an immediate like a carbon copy. Putting I'm with the Vikings, and I'm going to just do the exact same thing over here. It may not be that because this is still two different guys. Liam Cohen is not Kevin O'Connell. They may just want to treat things differently, and maybe. But Liam Cohen is going to want to take a little bit of time and figure out just how much this head coach role is going to put on him, and may want to give a little bit more to Dinsky. Like, I can see that also. So it may be that a lot more of this than we even think, may fall on his plate. It just depends on what they're all going to be comfortable with.
Preston goes on to say, I didn't like Campanelli's answer about Armstead's position. I liked the turnover talk. As someone that missed it, did you catch what he said about Armstead's position?
I don't recall the comment about Armstead's positions, and I think I'm gonna have to replay that. I don't know what he's referencing, honestly.
Okay.
Off topic. He was like a defensive tackle. Yeah.
Off topic, but hot take. Scatterboo is the best back in the draft. This is a good time for me to ask you this, Travis.
Hot take. Okay.
I get it's not popular, and I was on Club Jaguar and got roasted for this take.
Okay.
And I'm not saying I'm fully on board, but what would your reaction be if the night of the draft, whoever walks up there, the commissioner, and says, with the 5th pick in the 2025 NFL draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Ashton Jeanty, running back, Boise State. What would your reaction be?
Without knowing anything else that we did in free agency before that, I guess I'd be fine. I'd be lying if I did say I'd scratch my head, yes, but in the dungeon of my group chats, especially some of the ones that I trust the people not to put my information out there, I have absolute said things like, you know what, that wouldn't be a bad pick. Not necessarily at 5, but maybe trading back to like 10 or something like that and picking up another draft pick. I might be a little bit happy with it if we invested in the offensive line in free agency. If we didn't invest in free agency, and as far as the offensive line is concerned, it feels like a wasted pick. So without knowing that context, I'm just like, maybe.
I get it. You need context, but what I always come back to is like, I've poured through the mock drafts, and there's a bunch of them that have Jeanty going at 6 to the Raiders. And everyone's always in these situations where they're like, yeah, he's good, but he's not number 5 good. Or he's good, but he's like middle first round good. If you're good and you're a playmaker, I don't care if you're drafted at 3, 5, 7, 9, 23, or 32.
Okay.
If you're a good player, take the good. I mean, do you think that Ashton Jeanty will be a really good pro?
I do. But this is where the conversation really starts. Like, so you've been a Jacksonville Jaguars fan for a very long time, right? What did you think of the Leonard Fournette pick?
I loved it.
Then and after the fact.
I loved it. I get that he had a sharp fall off. That's a good comparison. But if I could guarantee you 5 great years from a running back, wouldn't that be worth the 5th pick?
Those are the conversations, because many people would argue that if you're drafting someone top 5, especially someone who's a running back, maybe even top 10, that's a running back, they need to be getting a second contract, that bare minimum. Like, that's just your starting point. If they're not getting a second contract, you're already failing. And that's where I'm like, that's why I asked the Leonard Fournette, because I'm just like, well, that was a top 5 pick. Cool. So if you're drafting another running back top 5, you better be right, because this is going to be near impossible. That running back has to be generational in the NFL to make that pick be worthwhile, and they have to get that second contract. If they don't, I still feel like you failed, even though he was okay, because you probably could have gotten a guy like that later in the draft. That's my opinion.
And that's fair. And those are all the same places my mind goes. Like, I get that. I just like Ashton Jeanty might be one of the safest picks in the draft. I mean, you look at.
I know. That's what I'm saying when I say Fournette. It was a very safe pick. He wasn't going to be bad. He just might not have been Saquon, or I say like Saquon now, not the
Right.
injured Saquon,
Right.
but
Or Derrick
something like
Henry
that.
or Christian McCaffrey. Right.
Right. If you've drafted him top 5, you need him to be one of those types of people. Otherwise, so your margins are already this thin, and that's the part that sucks. That's why I say I wouldn't be excited about it, because you almost are forcing yourself to have hit lightning in a bottle on this draft pick that's already is a crapshoot.
And side note, Fournette did go on to win a Super Bowl after the Jags.
Did he do it with the Jaguars?
He did not. But
Did Tom Coughlin win a Super Bowl with the Jaguars?
he did not. He did
Why
not.
are we bragging about people that did great things elsewhere? That's like
Well,
bragging about my
because your
ex-girlfriend.
point was that you'd want him to get a second contract, and my point was that in Leonard Fournette's second contract, he won a Super Bowl. That's my only point.
I don't brag about my ex-girlfriend that married a millionaire after me, bro. Like, what are we doing? Like, we talking about somebody who won a Super Bowl with somebody else after they left me.
Yeah,
I ain't bragging about Jalen winning the Super Bowl with the Rams.
But in that analogy, it would be, was that ex-girlfriend worth dating? And if your ex-girlfriend did go on to do great things, that would have been worth dating.
Man, you think I get like who's keeping score here? Who's giving me kudos for dating the girl that's on TV that's with somebody else? That I ain't with them no more. No. All my exes are dead to me.
But
That's
if you
it.
messed up and you're the one that messed up the relationship, and then she went on to be on TV, it would still have been worth dating her, because if you wouldn't have messed up, you would have had a girl that was on TV, but you messed up.
I am not that healthy of a person to look at myself and be like, I was wrong, and then be like, oh, it's my fault that I'm no longer with her and she was awesome. No, she is always wrong. All my exes, I hope their hairlines in the middle of the back of their head.
Okay. All right. Just food for thought. Okay. Food for thought. Nasir Premier says the group chat confidentials. I love it. Mason Graham, Mr. Know-It-All would be pissed if we drafted him. Why draft a running back in the first round when you know your offensive line can't open up running lanes?
Like I said, folks act like free agency don't exist and scheme changes don't help things. You could make the exact same argument for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year. What, they went from 26 to 6, or no, I'm sorry, 32nd to 6 in as far as running game. Well, we can make the exact same argument. They shouldn't have drafted a running back in Bucking Irving because they can't open up holes until they did with the scheme change and they added 2 offensive linemen.
Yeah. I like this point. Fournette would have been great with Lamar Jackson in 2018.
Dang, I will never let Dave Caldwell live that
That's
down,
so
man.
stupid. I don't understand.
Taven Bryant.
And like, I'll go a step further. Not even Dave Caldwell. All the other GMs that passed on Lamar Jackson. Like, anybody that watched him play knew he was going to be good. It blows my mind that.
I won't BS you and say I knew he was going to be good. I thought he'd be an athlete, but I didn't know. But I'm saying at the place that they drafted Taven Bryant, it's late first round. Like, at that point, that feels like as close as no risk for a quarterback that you're going to get, and the 5th-year option. And you go with the defensive lineman who didn't even have the stats in Florida. I know a lot of Florida fans, and they was like laughing, like, what? Just galaxy brain, man.
That's free agent D tackle Taven Bryan to you. Okay, so for those of you
bring it back home,
looking to bulk up the D line, there you go. CMC and Derrick Henry, we both picked that season. Genty will be worth anywhere he's picked. Dude is something. Remember what King Henry did to us for a decade? There's a good shot he could be the same.
Maybe. I'm not even disagreeing because, again, I'm the person that's arguing for him in those group chats.
I say we take him. You got Brian Thomas Jr., you got Ashton Genty, you got Trevor Lawrence. Fix the O-line some other way, but at least that offense has got some firepower.
I don't think our offense is necessarily just missing firepower. Like, I think if our offense has one thing, it's firepower. What our offense is missing is the people that do the basics. We have a boatload of bazookas and not enough just that's it. We got a lot of bazookas and not enough handguns. We just need people that's going to just help us pick up the 3 yards in a cloud of dust. We got people that's be explosive. Brian Thomas Jr. can get us the yards there. Christian Kirk can get us the yards as far as just nickel and diming down the field. Brandon Strange, Evan Ingram, we have enough guys who can just get the explosive plays. We don't have enough guys to pick up the first down on 3rd and 1.
We have a bunch of bazookas that can't stay out of the injury tent. Is what we have. That's what
we also fired the head strength and conditioning coach. So I mean, that's something.
About time. Just tuned in to hear mentioning Taven Bryan. Well, you're at the right place, skunk man. You're at the right place. That's what we do around here. There will never probably never be a Heisman winner out of Louisville in our lifetime. Yeah, that's okay. I'd take Mason Graham or Ted McMillan. Wouldn't be mad if with Will or Travis Hunter if he falls. Lots of options.
I've been split on Ted, man. Like, I love him one day, and I'm like, I'm indifferent on other days, and it's gonna have to come down to me watching full game tapes of him, because I don't know how to feel about him at 5. I like him, but I don't know how to feel about him at 5. Like, it's just some games it feels like he's just like legit gone, and other games it just feels like, is he good, or is that DB just bad? And I don't know how to feel about it. Like, it's like I didn't think he did anything special on that play, but he got 30 yards, and I'm just like, was that just bad defense? And I'm getting a little stuck with that right now.
No, I get that. I get that. I like Mr. Know-It-All, who says best player available, nothing less.
Yeah, but what does that mean? Best player available is different for everybody. I mean, generally you have the consensus boards, but that doesn't matter.
I mean, we talked about this on Club Jaguar. I'd love to get your thoughts. If the first 4 go in any particular order, the 2 quarterbacks, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, and then Mason Graham goes 4th. Who is the 5th pick? I mean, Ted McMillan.
So you got Ted McMillan, you got Abdul Carter, you got.
That's right, Abdul Carter. Never mind. This scenario is thrown off. I forgot about Abdul Carter. He's the best player in the draft, in my opinion. So, but would you take?
He will be going by 4.
Would you take Abdul Carter at 5?
Hey man, I'm team trade down at that point. But if you can't trade, then because you don't really want to draft him, but if you don't have a choice and you have no trade partners, you take him and you figure out what you're gonna do.
Golly,
it's a hell of a consolation prize, bro.
If Abdul Carter is on the board, I mean, I legitimately think he's the best player in the draft. I don't know how you don't. I don't know how you don't find somewhere to play him.
You got to do it and just figure it out and just have that explosiveness, and we go figure out whatever we got to figure out at D tackle.
At number 4, they will likely have several players with either the same draft grades or incredibly. Or number 5, he says.
Number 5.
Yeah. Yep. Will Johnson says Nasir Premier. Any?
Oh wait, Will Johnson's still on the board. Oh, yeah. That's rough. I didn't think about that.
I don't know, man. I mean, I'm a little worried about his underneath game. Like, I'm a little worried about him, like,
when you say
anywhere inside 10 yards.
What do you mean? You think he's bad in the box?
Yeah, those like quick hitters, those quick outs, those bubbles, those tunnels.
I mean, I don't feel like I've seen that. Honestly, like if you've seen it, then maybe you've watched more film than I have at this stage in the process, then fine. But I like Will Johnson. I have no problem. I've been saying a lot of the time that I was questionable on whether or not I would take Travis Hunter over Will Johnson, and I know that's how to take it. I don't really care. I'm the DB guy, and I understand that I can still be wrong, but that's my area, and I'm just like, I don't know that Travis Hunter's not going to be a slot corner in the NFL. I don't know that he's going to be an outside corner in the NFL. I also don't know if he's going to be a slot receiver or an outside receiver in the NFL also, unless he ends up being like Devontae Smith.
I think Travis Hunter's a generational athlete.
I think Tim Tebow was a generational athlete.
But those aren't apples to apples, because Tim Tebow played a position where being an athlete doesn't yield you dividends, where Travis Hunter plays up 2 positions where being an athlete yields you dividends. So
I can agree with you. I'm simply saying that generational athlete in college, I don't know. What was the wide receiver for the Gators?
Percy Harvin?
Yeah, Percy Harvin. Goodness gracious. Yes. Generational wide receiver. Generational wide receiver in college doesn't always translate to generational wide receiver in the NFL. It can mean a good player or a fast player. That
Yeah,
doesn't
but Percy
necessarily
Harvin was
mean
injury ridden. It wasn't like his lack of talent got him out of the league. He couldn't stay healthy,
you, eh, I don't think that was just health, bro.
and he couldn't
I mean, it
stop
was
smoking weed.
my underlying point is, yeah, if you're just looking at Travis Hunter's profile, just his profile, nothing more. Not talking about injuries and everything else, just his profile. I don't know that that's going to be a hit. I hope it is. I believe it should be, but that feels like a risky pick. That feels like the Leonard Fournette pick, if that makes sense. Let's go back to Leonard Fournette. That feels closer to the Leonard Fournette pick, where it's somebody who's been generationally good for as long as you can say their name, they've been that person, and they're not going to be a bust. But are they going to be worth the pick that you were picking to draft them? That's the conversation that I'm trying to have right now, if that makes sense.
I don't know if I'm with you there, man. Leonard Fournette didn't play both sides of the ball. Leonard Fournette didn't win a Heisman.
Yeah, neither made Travis Hunter. We talk about him possibly playing both sides of the ball. We don't know that. That man might just play corner or may just play safety, and maybe we might be talking about a handful of games a season, possibly. Is that still worth the top 5 pick? I don't know.
All right. Yeah, there's a lot of question marks here. I like it. I saw this one's good. I'd give Travis Hunter safety reps.
Ooh.
I'd give Travis Holmes safety reps. That's what I would do. See how that works out for us. All right, we're about an hour and 7 in. All right. Travis, I got to ask you this. Life lesson. Yeah. You've had a successful marriage, successful family, successful career. To all of those of us that were alone tonight, and to all of us that hate this day for different reasons than you do, what would you give advice to the men that are looking for love? How should they live their life? Where should they look for it on this night where they're struggling? What advice would you give those guys from someone that's successful like you?
I will say the first thing is, let's stop focusing on the love and start focusing on ourselves. And you'll find the love while you out there doing the journey of trying to make yourself better every day. So I know the hustle and the struggle is always to find our next dragon to slay. And that's just going to be the next lady, the next girl, the next thing you can conquer, whatever that is. That's how we're built. I get that fully. I understand it. But if you're out there trying to make yourself a better you every day, like legitimately, not this BS, like not these self-help books and all this other nonsense. I mean, like legitimately trying to be better than you were yesterday and consistently struggling to do that. On that journey, you are going to find the person who is probably doing the same thing right now. So the person that you are looking for may be out there right now, like legit working on themselves, trying to get herself right for you in the future. Meanwhile, you on your couch eating chips, listening to me talk right now, instead of doing that work that you need to do to catch up to her. Get to work, man.
I like it. That's motivational for me and others out there. So appreciate it, Travis. That's great advice. Can't wait to clip that and post it everywhere. What do you got coming up next? What's next on Big Cat Country? What's next for the Duval Dive? What you got coming out? Give us a little preview.
Well, we got the finalists now. I mean, we just had Chad Kelly is the final interview for the Jacksonville Jaguars' first round of virtual interviews, and they will have 4 to 5 finalists, hopefully announced sometime around this weekend and or Monday. So we have that coming up. Let's just find out who those finalists are. We already have the the general manager profiles on bigcatcountry.com. So take a look at those so you can kind of find out how you truly feel about these guys after knowing who they are. And then whatever breaking news we kind of get from that point moving on. We're entering combine season and draft season. So let's really get into it.
There's a lot that Travis is doing. He's a busy bee, even in the off season. So make sure to check everything out in the video description. All his stuff's there. Check it out. He's awesome. I can't talk about how good he is enough, but he is. So check it all out. Travis, I appreciate you being on here tonight. Thanks for taking some time on this special holiday that you don't get off, because you don't get off any holidays. But I appreciate you being here. Thank you to everyone that was in the chat. We had a bunch of channel members. We had a bunch of good comments talking about all array of different things. So I appreciate you guys being here. Like and subscribe the video. Tell a friend if you feel so inclined. And I'm not sure when I'll be live next, but probably soon. So maybe if Travis convinces me, I will be on. So thank you again, Travis. Thank you, everybody. See you guys soon. As always, go Jags.